off a daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up by, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the Dfs Bachelor, good as it gets. Bit a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. Dfs Sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. Dfs Bachelor, he the new leader, yeah.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host of Dfs Bachelor, and hey, it's our first look for Week 7, so we like to double our knowledge around here. So we bring in our boy Doug at Jackpot25 on Twitter, Jackpot DFS on YouTube. How you doing this afternoon, brother?
Doing good, man. Just, again, staying up too damn late on Monday nights watching these late games. There was 2 yesterday, so I love the mini games we're getting in the different days and all that due to COVID, but eventually it's like too much football sometimes.
Well, you need a little bit of rest. I'm lucky on the West Coast, so had to work only the early game, so I got to kind of lay back and watch the late game, which was nice, and make money, look smart, telling everyone Andy Dalton sucks. So that was just, on prime time. Yeah. So it all worked out good for me last night, made a little money. So I hope you all had a good weekend as well. As usual, thank you for all the support, the kind words, making us a part of your day, and just supporting the channel. Truly appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the team. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Get all of our NFL content. You'll also find links in the video description where I'm over at Sportsbook Review 4 times a week. So, by the end of the year, you'll probably be tired of hearing my fucking voice, which I don't blame you. I'm tired of hearing my own damn voice, so it makes a whole lot of sense. But check all that out. If you wish to qualify for our weekly $50 PayPal giveaway that we announced during our final look video, that I do with Donnie, my co-host from over at SBR. All you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the comment section. That is brought to you by our friends at Tax Relief Advocates, man. These guys bailed me out last year. If the IRS is messing with your money, if the government's messing with your money, give them a call, 1-800-411-9633. A big thank you to them for that. And as usual, if you want my player pool, projections, you want the research tools, targets, snaps, articles, weekly rankings, wide receiver, cornerback rankings. I'm actually even going to be writing an article, a top stack article, just to add on to the list of fun that I'm doing for football here on Draft Dashboard. You can get access to all of that. Click that link. Try it for 30 days for $1. You can use my player pool and the lineup optimizer, etc. Had a great Sunday, minus Alexander Madison. So there's all that. And don't forget my friends over at Overlay DFS. Right now until the end of October, you give them a screenshot on Twitter of your 3-pick parlay in the matchup shop. You have a chance to come join Doug and myself over in my Slack chat. We haven't let someone new in there, and I can't remember how long, right? It's been a long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
So sure. That's going to be pretty cool. You can win a free membership to that simply by just tweeting out at Overlay DFS, your 3-pick parlay at OverlayDFS.com. Okay, there's all the house cleaning. Since I've been rambling, let's start at quarterback. I just kind of do a quick top 5 for this first look. What are you looking at quarterback week 7 right now, early in the week?
For me, it's kind of just a nice bunch of nice spots this week to go. As usual, a quarterback. I don't think you're going to get quite this, not quite the savings you would normally get on a normal week. You've got your Russell Wilson's way up there this week as usual, and for good reason. He's just been on fire. He's going against Arizona this week. I love the matchup. I expect that to be a shootout. Could be a game of these guys play a lot alike. They're both quick on their feet. They're both good passing the ball. Could be a nice matchup to pivot to game stack even this week. But I love Russell Wilson. As always, love Josh Allen in a nice matchup against the Jets this week, who can't stop anybody either. So another matchup to like. And, of course, moving down, I do like Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray, and could be a nice bounce-back week for Aaron Rodgers after a shitty performance against the Bucs, which I don't think I've seen Aaron Rodgers look that bad in a really long time.
Mm-hmm. I like all that. If I'm looking at my top 5, just overall to my top 5, I agree with you on Josh Allen. My one point of hesitation with them is, will the Jets participate the other way? Like, if this is, we saw it with Fitzpatrick yesterday. It's 24-0. They just took the foot off the gas. If Joe Flacco was starting for the Jets, what the hell are you going to get out of that offense but running backwards and looking anemic? So then it takes the onus off of him to have to put up points. So there is a little concern for me there. I do like Mahomes in Denver. Keep an eye on the weather there, though. It looks like it could be like 25 degrees and possible snow in Denver this weekend. So it's something to look out for. I love Kyler Murray. You mentioned Russell Wilson. Last year in the 2 games against the Cardinals, only a 14 and an 11, which was kind of interesting. They sort of had their number defensively. When you look at the Seahawks defense, allowing the second most fantasy points in the league to opposing quarterbacks. He's 7-1 on DraftKings, 8-4 on Fanduel. I like Kyler Murray quite a bit. His couple of games, those were lower scoring games. He had a 17 and a 13, but this dude's on a roll. I do expect it to be a competitive game, high scoring game, so both those quarterbacks are absolutely in play. I'm right there with you on Aaron Rodgers. I think when you take a player like him, it is on the road, but it's against a bad Houston defense, allowing the 10th most fantasy points in the league to opposing quarterbacks. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder next week. Good luck, Houston defense, stopping Aaron Rodgers next week. I like him quite a bit. Moving further down, I do like Stafford again. He was sort of a letdown in that Jacksonville game. But again, Atlanta allows the most fantasy points in the league to opposing quarterbacks. It's in the Dome in Atlanta, so Atlanta's the home team. If Atlanta plays like they did last week and makes this a shootout game, Stafford's gonna have to throw the football. 6,500 DraftKings, 7-4 on FanDuel. I like that price quite a bit for Matthew Stafford. And then just to sprinkle in a value guy, sort of a contrarian play, at home, going against that Dallas Cowboys defense, who absolutely can't stop anybody. Even though they only scored 19 points, Kyle Allen, still put up 18 DraftKings points in his first full game as a starter. Now you got Dallas, who's just dog shit on defense. I like Kyle Allen quite a bit down here if you're looking for a value guy at 5,200 on DraftKings and 6-7 on FanDuel. Anything else at quarterback before we move on to running back? For you?
I like a little bit this week coming back against Detroit.
Oh, Matt Ryan, absolutely. Yeah, sorry you cut out for a second.
With that, I mean, I like him this way. They fired their coach, obviously, and with the interim coach down there coaching them, and spark them up a little bit. And we've seen Julio back to play. Again this week.
Sorry, we lost you a little bit right there. Skype's always wonderful.
I like a nice get back spot for Carolina this week. Another has been bad on defense this year, and I think revenge narrative game where they're coming, where he was the backup to Drew Brees, playing down there. Another guy I like is Burrow.
I don't know why it's going. We kind of got glitched out a little bit there when you were trying to say. If I think I heard it right, you like Teddy Bridgewater a little bit coming back for Carolina against his former team in the Saints.
Sure.
Sorry, I don't know. Skype does that to us every video. I think that I have it fixed, and then it just does it every time.
I think it does it like in the early in the video with the quarterbacks, and then after that it kind of settles and rests. So
that's right. Just to recap, I believe I caught Matt Ryan, which I totally agree with in that game against Detroit at home. Teddy Bridgewater, little revenge game in the Dome there in New Orleans, which I agree with both of those. Absolutely.
Sure, and the last guy I mentioned was Joe Burrow, maybe in a nice spot
against Cleveland.
As well this week,
he played well against them the first game back in what was it, week 2?
Yeah.
On Thursday Night Football. All right, jumping over to running back. What are you looking at early in the week for running backs this week?
For running back off the charts here, we got Kamara coming in against obviously a bad Carolina defense, especially against the run. Could it be a nice day for Kamara? Get a nice get back spot. It's kind of a letdown to me last game. I mean, for the price you're paying, you want a guy who's going to explode. And I was kind of worried a little bit. I think he finally got there with a couple catches there at the end of the game, but it wasn't looking good for a lot of that game. Had you sweating a little bit if you played him.
Yeah.
But another guy I like this week is Aaron Jones. Again, going against that Houston Texans defense. Could have another monster game. A couple other guys I like this week. James Conner. He's getting the rock. They're going to run the ball with him. He's been pretty consistent. Again, in a nice spot. Tennessee's not great on defense this season. they're mediocre. I think James Conner could run the ball on them pretty easily.
Yeah.
Another good spot for Mike Davis this week. I think he's going to at least got one more week before Christian McCaffrey at least comes back. It may be a couple weeks, but at least another week.
Yeah.
And then probably the last guy I like that could have a nice game at a little bit of a value is Antonio Gibson against that Dallas defense. They can't seem to stop anybody. Even Kenny Drake went off on him. So, and Kenny Drake starts having good games, then you know anybody can have a good day, right?
Damn, this year that's how it's felt. I was really happy. That took me to my fantasy league glory yesterday. I was so fucking happy, and I liked him on Draftkings. I had kind of mentioned him, and he was too cheap, and I cheat sheeted him and everything. So I got to look smart. So thank God for that, especially that last touchdown really put me over the top. Had a nice night there. I'm right there with you with Kamara. Carolina allows the 5th most fantasy points in the league to opposing running backs. Michael Thomas probably will be back this week, so you could see a little decline in the passing game, but not much. He's still going to be the number 2 option in the passing game, no matter what. He just slides from number 1 to number 2. That game against Carolina at home, looks like they're going to allow some fans in the stands this week in New Orleans as well. They made some sort of deal, so like 3,000 to 6,000 people will be there. That New Orleans offense gets humming at home. There we go, titled of my sex tape. Not really. I guess the last couple of weeks I've been on a decent roll, though. We were talking about that off the air. I like Zeke Elliott against Washington. They're going on the road. It's a 10 a.m. game, so you're not going to get the primetime dumpster fire that Andy Dalton is. He was embarrassed last night, had the 2 fumbles. I think he wants to bounce back in a big way. When you look at his 2 games last year against Washington, a 23 and a 30, sitting here at 7,800, I think it's a bounce back spot for Ezekiel Elliott after a tough Monday night game. Aaron Jones, I think, is a great play. No team in the league allows more fantasy points to opposing running backs than the Houston Texans. We saw what Derrick Henry did to him last week. Just a few days ago. Now you're getting him at 7,200. He's not the most expensive running back. He's actually cheaper than Henry, who's facing a tough Pittsburgh defense. The matchup is there. They're in an indoor stadium. We're getting into these winter months now. We're in the late autumn, early winter months now. So you want to start keeping an eye on the weather. You get a guy like Aaron Jones, and you get a pissed off Green Bay team against the Houston defense that can't stop anyone. I think Aaron Jones is a nice look early in the week. Another guy I like against Cincinnati is Kareem Hunt. That Cleveland offense was bad last week. Kareem Hunt was a little banged up. Baker was as well. OBJ missed a lot of the week with what they thought could be COVID. It was just ended up being a stomach illness, it looks like. Kareem Hunt against the Bengals. The Bengals are 21st against opposing running backs. He put up a 24 last year against this Bengals team. He's going to be the main running back. I expect him to bounce back there at 6,800. I like that quite a bit. And, considering there's not a ton of cheap value right now earlier in the week, we could talk about DeAndre Swift, who really looked like he sort of took over that job for Detroit at 5,400. I don't mind that. And David Johnson against the struggling Packers defense against the run. But I like Todd Gurley again against Detroit. I think he's going to get the carries. Could be a high-scoring game. Detroit allowing the 4th most fantasy points in the league to opposing running backs. Sitting there at 6K, 6,600 on Fanduel. I think Todd Gurley is another nice play this week. Was there anything else at running back you wanted to touch on before we... Kenyon Drake's still sitting down there at 4,800. He might be a nice little...
Yeah, he's still real cheap. You still got... you still got these cheap guys for the Jets with Perrine and Gore, but... it's. Do you really want to go there?
It's only if Sam Darnold comes back. If Darnold comes back, I think they can move the ball. Like they did against Denver a couple weeks ago on Thursday night. But if it's Joe Flacco, no, they can fuck off. They can fuck right off a cliff. No way in hell am I touching that offense. I need Sam Darnold back, which sad to say, but it's absolutely true.
It's terrible.
It's just bad with. Joe Flacco. All right, heading over to wide receiver. What are you liking early on in the week here, a wide receiver?
Wide receiver was, I really think you could go, for me, as top play of the week is a receiver is probably Devontae Adams. I don't see how this fails this week. I know Hopkins is up there as the highest salary receiver this week, and he's in a great spot, but just really love the upside for Adams this week, and I feel like they played so bad this past weekend. They're going to want to go out there and prove something this week, and why not go with Devontae Adams? The guy's getting targeted a ton. Yeah. He's Aaron Rodgers' guy. I could easily see him going for easily over 100, couple touchdowns this weekend. It's kind of hard to go with Atlanta's in a good spot this weekend, but Calvin Ridley and both Julio Jones, both in good spots again this weekend.
Yep.
And then probably a couple other guys. Top for me this week is going to be Stephon Diggs. He's just the guy right now for Buffalo, and another get right spot for Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. In fact, I have a lot of those guys marked. Hopkins, you talked about the matchup against Seattle. It's not like Arizona's going to be beating Seattle 24-0 and Seattle's not going to give up any resistance. The game's in Arizona. No team in the league allows more fantasy points to opposing wide receivers through the first 5 weeks than the Seattle Seahawks. So you got to like Hopkins. Just the worry there is if you're paying up there for he and Adams or maybe even both if you're trying to get real crazy, you got to find that value at running back. Maybe Kenyon Drake's the way he could go. Do we trust him back-to-back weeks? That could be something to keep an eye on. And you never know injuries throughout the week. Julio Jones, if he's going to be that healthy, if we're getting old Julio Jones back in the Dome at home against the Detroit secondary, Trufant, etc., they just can't stop anyone. 24th right now against opposing wide receivers. So I might be a week late on this. He did end up making my player pool. I put him in the player pool at the end, so those who are using it here on Draft Dashboard did get him in. There you go. Congratulations. You guys can all fill in the blanks there. But at 7,100, you could do a lot worse. Like, who do you trust more? DK Metcalf with shadow coverage of Patrick Peterson, who's been a beast, or Julio Jones with Desmond Trufant and the rest of that horrible Detroit secondary $100 cheaper. So I'm certainly on board with the Julio Jones. You mentioned Kenny Golladay. Atlanta allowing the 4th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Look, in the 3 games he's been back that he's played this year, 7, 8, and 6 targets, nothing less than 16 Draftkings points. Once he gets, that 2 touchdown game, he's got that 35, 40 point upside. I expect there to be points scored in this game. I love Kenny Golladay again this week at 6,700 on DraftKings, 7,600 on Fanduel. And then just moving down, looking for a guy a little bit cheaper. We talked about that Dallas defense. I like Terry McLaurin at 5,800. He's been targeted 33 times over the last 3 weeks, including 12 targets last week. Now they're getting a Dallas defense that is third, allowing the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers. We saw what Christian Kirk and company, in only 9 completions, Kyler Murray had like 4 million fantasy points last night. They can't stop anyone. I like Terry McLaurin quite a bit. I think he's cheap, and I like the upside. And no matter what, he's the only weapon they have. Literally the only weapon they have outside of maybe Antonio Gibson. I mean, the rest of the guys, it's fucking Dontrell Inman and Logan Cox and, just pure shit at wide receiver. Terry McLaurin's going to be targeted a ton. And when he lines up in the slot and gets that Jordan Lewis matchup, I don't think they can stop him there. Jordan Lewis might be the worst corner I have ever seen. I didn't get too deep into the value guys this week. I guess coming down here, just quick, I think AJ Green's a little bit cheap. I was encouraged that he was targeted 11 times last week. He's sitting there at 4,300. Cleveland, 29th against opposing wide receivers. Only had a 6 in that week 2 game. But if Burrow's going to start getting a rhythm with him and he's going to play 66% of the snaps, 11 targets, he's sitting there at 4,300. Cleveland's struggling defensively. I think that's a guy I could probably look at as well early on, just looking at some value. Was there anything else at wide receiver you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole grab bag of treats kind of underneath that 6K range. I mean, you've got Chase Claypool in a great matchup this week. That guy's he's done nothing but beasting here lately. And you've got Carolina's nice cheap receivers. Again, DJ Moore is actually cheaper than Anderson now.
Love it.
So you've got him at 5,600, which is in a great spot. And then if you're wanting to go the Cincinnati route, T. Higgins is obviously going to is exploding. He's kind of being that go-to guy for. He's had 7, 8, and 8 targets the past 3 weeks. Only 5,300, and a nice cheap guy to go to if you want to pivot from a Galladay would be a nice 4,400 Marvin Jones.
Agreed. Marvin Jones is always one of those boomer bust guys, right? Like, oh shit, this guy can come out and get 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Or he's like 2 for 27, So, but I like him for tournaments. I like that Detroit passing game against Atlanta this week. Some nice spots this week at wide receiver. And as we get further on in the week, the player pool will expand and we'll have videos out Because there's all sorts of guys in that 4,000 range, 4,500 range, and you got the Debo Samuels at 4,900. You got all those guys, and that's where you're going to want to be because you're trying to pay up at running back and maybe even
I mean,
quarterback.
if you really want to get tricky, you could go for a 3,400 Kendrick Bourne,
Yeah,
which isn't the worst play in the world. So
yeah, he's not the worst play in the world. It's just a little tough because J.C. Jackson's so good in the slot for the Patriots. But you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Jimmy G's return to Foxborough, that one's going to be interesting to watch. So when we go to the tight end position, what are you looking at here early in the week for tight ends?
I mean, first off the bat, I love Travis Kelce. I mean, the guy's just the elite of tight ends right now. He's obviously going to be go-to guy. I mean, there's not another tight end that you can bank on every single week other than Kelce getting targets. I mean, to me, any other mostly tight end outside of Kittle is going to be kind of hit or miss. You just never know. But obviously, always in play, him and Kittle as well. But I really liked Robert Tonyan this week. Again, with that Green Bay offense, he's been a new target for Aaron Rodgers, and I think he has a nice setup this week to have another big game this week, as well as T.J. Hockenson for Detroit. A couple guys, tight ends, one of those positions where you can kind of play with and you can get the value. But
I mean, that's what I've been saying for a long time. I mean,
title my sex tape, right?
That's it.
But,
there you go, tight end. Don't let your wife hear that. You're not supposed to be playing around with a bunch of tight ends, Doug.
Right.
Fuck.
But obviously, can go with Hunter Henry this week. He's in a great matchup. He's been a nice go-to guy.
Yeah.
Kind of the guys I'm looking at this week.
Yeah,
early on.
I love that you touched on Hunter Henry. He's probably my favorite tight end this week at 4,500 DraftKings, 5.8 Fanduel. Jacksonville 27th against opposing tight ends. Been targeted 18 times the last 3 games. They've played only 1 game this year under double-digit fantasy points. Going to be a consistent part of that passing game, especially with Eckler gone. Kittle and Kelce, I mean, it goes without saying. They're at 6'5 and 6'3. Then that's when the drop-off happens. The next most expensive guy is T.J. Hockenson. I like Hockenson. Atlanta allows the second most fantasy points in the league to opposing tight ends. I think Hawkinson's a nice play this week as well. And then you get to Hunter Henry. And then I was looking for some value. I know David Njoku's back, but I still like Austin Hooper at 4,000 on DraftKings. Cincinnati, 24th against opposing tight ends. They've been bad against tight ends for a couple of years now. So I do like Austin Hooper. And if you're looking for under this 4K range, a guy like Dalton Schultz at 3,900. Washington's still struggling against tight ends. Andy Dalton to Dalton Schultz. He tried to get the ball to Dalton Schultz, did target him 5 times. I think you see a better Cowboys offense this Sunday. Andy Dalton is really bad on primetime. I've said it all week last week. I said it all night last night. That's what happens to Andy Dalton. Then you get him on Sunday mornings. He's a much more prolific quarterback Sunday mornings on the road, a must-win after an embarrassing loss. I think Dalton Schultz against a Washington team that struggles against tight ends could be pretty interesting at 3,900 as well. And he's just playing all the snaps, playing 3/4 of the offensive snaps. So I could certainly get down with that as well. I think that's it for me at tight end early in the week. Anything else you have there? Or?
Only other guy I was going to mention, a couple different guys. 4,100 Darren Fells has been having a couple nice games the past 2 weeks. He's had a 14 and a 21 with the Texans, and 3,500 caught a touchdown finally this weekend. He's playing 86% of the snaps is Logan Thomas at 3,500.
That fucking pissed me off. You know how many times I've played Logan Thomas this year? Do you know how many weeks in a row I played Logan Thomas? He doesn't do shit, then he gets in the end zone. But I did have Trey Burton last week, so it worked out just fine.
Hey, man. Yeah, right. 3,100, that was a nice value, right?
Yeah, that one worked out really well for me. I pretty much had him in everything. I wish I'd have had some more Anthony Ferkser, but who the hell thought that guy was going to go out and just put up Travis Kelce numbers? Get the hell out of here, Anthony Ferkser.
Yeah, that screwed my day because I had a lot of Jonnu Smith, and of course he goes down with ankle injury, and that was terrible.
It's something to watch for this week. If Jonnu Smith doesn't play this week,
Sure.
then Ferkser will absolutely be in there. I didn't even check his price, but he could certainly be someone that we keep an eye on.
He's 3,000.
Oh, 3,000. So there you go. He could be the Trey Burton of this week,
Yep.
So there we go. Let's keep an eye on that Jonnu Smith injury. Of course, you can follow us both on Twitter at Jackpot25, at DFS Bachelor. When any time of that shit pops up, we got it out there. Now, bringing it on home here with the defenses. Of course, the Bills against the Jets, especially if Flacco plays. Now, the Bills have been not very good on defense. Not the same defense this year for sure, but it's a New York Jets, so it's fine. It doesn't even matter. I actually like the Chiefs on the road in Denver. Looking at the weather in that game, looks like it's going to be 68 degrees and sunny on Saturday. Then it gets down to 15 degrees overnight. Then it's supposed to be in that mid to high 20s with fog and possibly snow. So I do think the Chiefs can shut down that Broncos offense in those conditions at 4,300. I like the Chargers defense quite a bit this week, getting Melvin Ingram back against a Jacksonville offense that, they're going to try. And I like watching Jacksonville, but they haven't gotten over the 20-point mark since, week 2? Definitely some pick six upside there as well, so I can get down with the Chargers at 3,400. And then down here, a little bit cheaper, a couple defenses I marked. I marked the Cleveland Browns against the Bengals. They're at 2,800 on DraftKings. 4,700 on Fanduel is too expensive. So you can see they're much, much better value on DraftKings for Cleveland against a rookie quarterback after being embarrassed last week. I think they get after it this week. Myles Garrett wreaks havoc in the backfield, so I think Cleveland's defense can be decent. And then if I'm just looking, we like to do this, play like the cheapest defense you could possibly find that just maybe you could get something out of it. And, you get a pick six or you just get a bad showing by the offense. I have the Lions marked for some reason at 2,200 against the Falcons. Now, Falcons look great. I think the Falcons could put up points. But maybe that's just a one-off for Atlanta. Matt Ryan comes out there, plays like shit, and then the Lions get some sort of pick six. Again, I'm not going to have him in a lot of things, but if I'm looking like, do I want the Jets defense? No. The Texans defense? No. Arizona against Seattle? Probably not. The Falcons against Detroit? Probably not. Maybe Washington 25 against Dallas.
I agree with that.
Sure. Thought about that too. I'm talking myself out of Detroit.
I like that a lot better than the Lions.
Yeah, I just talked myself out of Detroit as I was saying it and looking at it. I did that at about 6 o'clock this morning. You know what I mean? But the Falcons. I don't know if I trust that offense all that much after 1 week, but they did look good last week. It's probably Washington, I guess. 25 is probably the best cheap option. What do you like at defense?
That's where I'm at. I think Washington is probably the value play of the week with Andy Dalton, the way they played. I thought he would be better. All day. Multiple sources. A lot of people I talked to were hyped up thinking Andy Dalton with all the weapons he had and. Kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt with him being in Cincinnati that he didn't have the weapons he needed, etc. Dallas has everything you need outside of a defense, but
their offensive line is super banged up right now too. Their offensive line's not nearly as good. But I told you, prime time Dalton is basically it's not Andy Dalton. It's some scared, childish version of himself. He's 6-16 for his career, 26 touchdowns. 18 interceptions, a quarterback rating in the low 70s on primetime. And that's sort of a misnomer with the Bengals thing, because those Bengals teams, when he was with the Bengals, were actually very talented. They were playoff teams. They just couldn't get it done, he and Marvin Lewis in the playoffs. There were times where people thought that was the most talented team in the AFC. They just couldn't get it done because Andy Dalton's a fucking choke artist in big games. But on a game, like Sunday could be better. But I think I agree. Washington gets after the quarterback. That's probably the value defense of the week. What else you like at defense? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
You pretty much nailed it. There's not a lot. It's pretty much hit or miss this week. There's a lot not to love. There's a lot to love. It's just kind of split in the middle. Yeah. You could kind of play around. You could, I think the Browns is probably a nice pick as well. They have a nice turnover ratio in the NFL and could obviously do that against the Browns this weekend, especially keep an eye on maybe Baker Mayfield. Keep an eye on that rib injury. Maybe he doesn't play, or if he gets hit and goes out of the game, then that turns into a whole different ball game.
Then you get Case Keenum. You might be getting better. You get Case Keenum, Stefanski's boy from Minnesota. Hey, they went to the playoffs. Divisional round. I think championship game with Case Keenum, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember.
That's right. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Baker's looked better this year, but he's definitely banged up. He was last week, too. He was banged up, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. And some small love for the 49ers. I think they struggled, obviously, against Denver. Cam Newton may be a little bit rusty from having those weeks off with COVID. 49ers, I was impressed. I was watching them playing. Their y'all's middle linebacker, man,
Fred
is
Warner.
all over the field, and I just wonder, how Cam Newton likes to run. I don't see him running that much against that linebacker. That linebacker is just all over the field. He just
Fred
doesn't
Warner.
let much happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fred Warner, he's the absolute man. I love Fred Warner. Obviously, I'm a 49er fan. Dre Greenlaw, too. He can get after the quarterback as well. So
yeah,
hopefully they make things difficult going West Coast to East Coast into Foxborough. Luckily, it's an afternoon game, so they get a little bit of extra time to prepare there. Well, I think
sure.
that's our first look. Again, don't
Yep.
forget to check out all of Doug's content over at Jackpot DFS on YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, be part of our drawing. Can watch our player pools evolve throughout the week. Click that link in the video description below. Try Draft Dashboard out for 30 days for $1. I'll have my Thursday night football video up sometime tomorrow night once I get back from whooping my buddy's ass on the golf course. And don't forget to check out my friends at OverlayDFS.com as well. Doug, thank you again for being here. Appreciate doubling up the knowledge. Of course, we'll be here every week for our first look, Doug and I. I'll be live again Thursday over at Sportsbook Review. Final look will be a day early this week. We'll have it out on Friday morning with myself and Donnie. So lots and lots of stuff coming. I mean, hopefully that's the plan. A big cheers to you all.
3 for 3.
3 for 3, baby. 3 for 3. Let's see if we can get this one out of the house this time. There's lots of jokes there, trust me. Appreciate you all so much. May the fantasy gods be with you. Good luck with your baseball, DFS, etc. Might even have an MMA video out this week. I might have out with some smart guys from the MMA world. I'm trying to work that out still as well. So thank you all so much again. Thanks to Doug again. Goodbye, folks.